I've muted my mic. It's probably going to get recorded straight onto YouTube anyway, so I'm going to go through what I'm going to be talking about today. I've got a few things. I'm just waiting for people to come on board, and we'll go through because I'm going through today. I am literally just going to be looking at taking stuff off the DNT Optics, some of the movement, some of the stuff from last night, images and videos or whatever. I'm going to go through my kit bag today, but so this question answer thing is basically to cover any questions people have had over either DNT Optics or they have for. I'm just going to be working away. So when people jump in, if they've got a question, just put them onto the comments, and I'll see it, and I'll answer them straight away. Um, so anybody's got questions about deer stalking, how to get into deer stalking, syndicates, regards to that equipment that you might need for deer stalking, firearms certificates, getting your firearm certificate, stuff like that, getting various other things, I guess. Um, we're just kind of we'll work through any questions you've got in regards to any outdoor stuff. I've got a couple of standard questions, but I know the people haven't come on. They're not online yet to ask. But as I said, this will be getting probably recorded straight onto YouTube, so somebody can look at it later. One of the things is the question in regards to DNT Optics. Why has DNT Optics? I'm just reading it off my phone here. Why is DNT Optics Arkansas? Sorry, I can't read properly. Uh, why has Arkin Optics moved or been bought over by DNT Optics? Well, one of the reasons for that is it's not really a big takeover as people think in regards to DNT Optics. They basically just split the teams. It made it more the digital scope side of things. It made it easier to market it under DNT and have a team specifically for them. And Arkin have decided to go along with the carry on doing their day glasses, their normal optical glasses. The weather is absolutely shocking. I'm literally just in from being out overnight. I was out last night doing pest control, but I did last night sitting in the high seat. Only saw two does and a couple of hinds. And this morning I saw hinds and calves. But in between, I did a bit of foxing and did a bit of rabbiting. Got some footage. I never got any foxes last night, but I did get loads of rabbits. I must have got about 40 or 50 rabbits last night. So, and before going back to the high seat this morning, and I got in from the high seat around about 8:30 this morning. So it's been a long, long, long night. So bear with me. Yeah. So that was the first question I got today in regards to DNT Optics. It isn't hasn't been this major takeover. It is just a division of teams, division of responsibilities, and a division of marketing and obviously resources. So DNT and Arkin are probably coincide in many ways, but obviously run as a different entity in regards to their digital scopes. Um, as is, as I said, there's a few people that are going to be coming in later on, and I'll answer their questions anyway, but they can catch it on the when it's been recorded. Second of all, do you still have syndicate places available, and when can I apply for them? Right. So um, our syndicates run from around about April to the end of March. So it's the 1st of April to the end of March. And those syndicate places fill up very, very quickly. So I've got nothing available at the moment, but I will have something probably come April. You always get the odd person that'll pull out because of various personal issues. So yeah, so I start advertising my syndicates around about January. Once I know who is deciding to stay on and who doesn't want to stay on, and I'll usually have payments and everything in by mid-February, and then everything's ready to go. All the paperwork and everything, leases, everything is done before the 1st of April, and then runs for a whole year, 1st of April to the 31st of March. So yeah, so that's answered that question. Um, right, I'm just going through it. So if anybody's got any of my viewers just now, have got any questions just now, just throw them in. I can cover those, no problem. Um, how do I contact you about Deer Syndicates? Well, the best way to contact me is through David at fieldsportscotland.co.uk. Sorry, .com, not .co.uk. David at fieldsportscotland.com. Just send me all your information, budget and things. Um, I've also, as everybody knows, my number is on my Facebook, so you can get a hold of me through my telephone number as well. It's my personal phone. Nobody else answers it. There's no other problems in that one. In regards to night vision, I'll come to that one in a little bit, unless anybody wants to jump in. I'm going to be running through some of my equipment. Here's a question I got last week. In regards to Here's a question I got last week in regards to my equipment bag. What do I have in my standard equipment bag? Um, Basic first aid stuff, latex gloves, um, spare batteries for torches or night vision stuff. Um, I'm going through this anyway. Personal locator beacon for any problems, whatever. This is a fast find one. You register it. It's actually for maritime, but can be used on the hill too. Um, what else have I got in here? Head torch. Always carry a head torch. I usually like these ones. These are rechargeable. Take 18650 batteries. Um, they're very good. Um, Head torch is not just a lifesaver when you're out, but when you're working at night, it doesn't cast shadows over your feet like a normal torch. When you're using a normal torch, you're probably going to be around. You're always going to be waving it in front of you, so you don't see what's between you and the torch. So there might be a hole. Where at least if you've got a head torch on, it moves about, and where you're looking, you will see. So the head torch is brilliant. This one is Amazon special. It's a Victoper. I usually go through 2 or 3 of these a year. Um, I use them in the clear files this time of year. My Midgie jacket probably needs a wash. Um, my bag changes every night. There's some things that stay in my bag, and there's other things that uh, don't. So I've got my first aid kit. It's just a basic first aid kit. It's got all your usual stuff in it, like plasters and stuff like that. I should have an Israeli bandage in here somewhere. Yep. Always keep an Israeli bandage. I open it up and keep them ready to use. This is a clean one, never been used, but I open it up and I let people use it. Sorry, I've got it ready to use if I need it. Uh, and what else have I got in here? Probably my Fox Pro collar remote, because I was obviously out doing foxes last night. I think that's it. And there, and my tourniquet. I did take that out. I always carry a tourniquet. I think it's back here. It's here somewhere. And a tourniquet. I've always got a tourniquet with me. Yeah, that's my standard kit bag. It always has my PLB head torch in it, some basic medical kit, um, and some spare batteries. But I'm going to sort that out in a little bit. What else? I have so yeah, the PLB. That's quite an interesting thing. as I said, this is a maritime one, fast find. Wasn't expensive. I think it was about 100 quid. I know you can get the Garmin inReaches and stuff like that, and GPS finders and that. But to be fair, this will do the job, and I don't need it to communicate anybody other than emergency services. Um, to be fair, that's what I have on my standard kit bag. When I'm out shooting, I always have a spare magazine with me for most of my rifles. I usually keep them in my glove box, empty magazines. Um, I usually have various other items with me that help me. I've got my tripod, I've got my um, or sticks, or I always carry a stick. When I'm out and about, I try to anyway. It helps with walking, helps with dragging too, but it helps with walking. Drag rope. I always in my kit carry a drag rope. There's one of these for dragging deer. This one I got off of Temu for about £1, and I thought it was going to be rubbish, but it's actually quite good. Keep it in my pocket, and I also keep spare socks, spare clothes in the car, just general stuff because I always have two pairs of boots. Um, I have a pair of Grey Sport and a pair of Bester boots. I prefer the Bester boots. I like the Bester boots. They're more comfortable on my feet. Fantastic boots. I did a review on them a few years ago, and I've carried on singing the Bester boots. Like back to these questions. How did I get into deer stalking and pest control? Have you got any tips on how to get permissions? I am living in London and I do not have any permissions. All right, okay. Well, again, you have to kind of do a bit of door chapping if you want to get into like pest control. Some of the farmers they'll probably help you out in regards to it. Just go around, see what people are needing to be done. If you're an air gunner, go and see if some of the farms need rats, some rats shot or things like that, maybe rabbits. If you are a rimfire user, again, rabbits and the odd ground game or whatever. You can even do foxes on some very small holdings. The It's all about just getting into some sort of network. How did I get into it? Well, I grew up in the industry. I was born in the industry. My father was a stalker on an estate for a prominent family here in the Highlands. So I grew up around it when I was younger. We moved about. My father was farming as well, so I moved about and done a lot of farming stuff. So I know quite a lot about farming. I've worked for a few farmers over the years. So I got a lot of my own personal grounds through farming. I trained as a grousekeeper. I I had a bit of a rocky start to my training, I have to admit. I had some family issues that I couldn't really deal with. And then I kind of came in later on in my early late teens and early 20s sort of thing. Um, well, I've been shooting my whole life, but I took a 10-year break from shooting. I was I was People who know me, I used to do security. I was a close protection officer. I travelled around a bit. I went abroad and things like that doing security. So when I came back, I was working for a security company. The guy's pretty much one of my closest friends now, and he also had a deer management business, and I got into that. That part's no secret, because that's how everybody who knows me kind of knows that I just kind of started managing deer and forestry, and I have been doing it now for nigh on 20 years. So it's been it's been a long haul. Yeah, I started off working Clearfells, never got a penny for about a whole year. 24-hour shifts, 48-hour shifts, going out dragging deer, hundreds of deer, shooting hundreds of deer, and uh, helping out the main contractor. And then the second year, I kind of, well, don't get me wrong, he helped me get through some of my certificates and things like that, like my DSC1, DSC2, and stuff like that. A lot of my other things on firearms certificate, not so much my firearms certificate. I already had that. ATV quad tickets and stuff. So I kind of got benefited out of it. So that's how I got into it. But as I said, I kind of grew up. If everybody in the village that I stay in has something to do with some sort of land management. So it's what's my favorite deer species? Roe deer. Actually, believe it or not, I don't shoot a heck of a lot of roe deer. Um, I shoot. I must shoot maybe like no. I only shoot maybe about 20 or 30 roe deer a year, but I love looking at them. I spend a heck of a lot of time um, watching roe deer and not actually shooting them. I've got roe deer on some of the farms, and I just think they're elegant. They're clean. I rarely ever see ticks on them. They're easy to deal with. They're not my favorite eating deer. I don't really particularly like eating roe deer. I don't. You don't get a lot of meat from them. I prefer Sika when it comes to eating them, but when it comes to actually looking at them and spending some time around them and things like that, I love watching roe deer. Do you know, I spend more time sitting them than what I sitting watching them than what I do stalking them. Unfortunately, the estate that I work on doesn't have a heck of a lot of roe deer, so I maybe only shoot about 5 or 6 of them a year there, and I do not really touch the roe deer on the farms unless the farmer asks me to. Um, I've got some nice bucks actually, and I was looking at a nice buck. The most deer on on the other side to that, the deer that I shoot most of is Sika. Um, I spend a lot of time managing Sika. They're probably one of the most difficult deer to manage. Um, um, they're very elusive, can be they can be very noisy and very hard to stalk. So yeah, I spend a lot of time managing Sika. I don't have a heck of a lot of reds on the estate, but on the a lot of the forestry ground, we do shoot quite a lot of reds too. Yeah, so roe deer is that's the answer to that. Roe deer. Um, it's yeah, just a lovely little deer. I think they're amazing. I think they're amazing. Elegant as hell. Elegant. Um, go back to these questions while people are online or trying to think of theirs. What rifles do I shoot? Right. So I have a number of calibers that I use. I use air rifle, 2.2. I've got an HW97. I am not an air gun guy. So if you're an air gun people out there, I don't know a heck of a lot about air guns. That probably comes across when I speak about them. Um, I don't know what algorithm not activated on my device. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. This is just straight through YouTube, so I don't know. Yeah. So I'll go back to this question. I have um I use the 2 air rifle for sheds for pigeons and rats. I've got a couple of riding schools that I do pest control in odd occasional time, and one's attached to one of the bigger farms that I do foxing on. So I've got that. I've got the 22 LR, which I use most of all for rabbits. I prefer the 22 LR to the 17 HMR. 22 LR is far more reliable, and than the 17 HMR. 17 HMR is better in in some senses for range and things like that, and a little bit confidence in a flatter shooter. But you do have the odd sparkly flyer with 17 HMRs for some reason. Um, and I've got the 223 that I use for foxing and roe deer. I've got the 243, which I use for, again, I use that for big deer because I run a 100 grain bullet through that. Actually, a 95 grain copper bullet, 85 grain, sorry, copper bullet now. I run that, but I also run a Foxen load through that as well, a 55 grain Foxen load, which is fantastic. So I've got the 243, and I've got the 6.5 Creedmoor, and I've got which is used for big deer, and I've got the 270 that I use for boar and deer. Yeah, so my main stalking rifle is my 270 with the day scope. My main I basically use 6.5 Creedmoor for guess. It's a fantastic rifle. I love it. It is great. The only reason I use the 270 more for stalking is because obviously I might come across boar as well. So I prefer to use that. But in saying that, the 6.5 Creedmoor is more than capable, far more than capable. Um, my favorite caliber out of them is probably 22 LR. Believe it or not, I spent a lot of time with the 22 LR shooting out to long range. I love it. I can shoot right out to 200 yards. We're shooting rabbits out to 170 yards, 150 yards last night, and it was fun. I enjoy it because it's cheap to play with. You get a lot of learning out of it. I did a YouTube video on that. So that's that question. John, I'm sorry, I don't know what it means by algorithm not activated on my device. It must be something at your end. The right, what else? What have I got? That's a strange one. If you had a hero in the industry, who would it be? I don't really have any heroes, but there's a there's a couple of people that I do kind of look up to, and I've learned a lot from older guys in the industry, guys that are generation or generation two, 2 generations before me or a generation before me. Learned a lot from them. I actually learned most of my stuff from other people. Nobody in particular. One of my old head keepers on the grouse estate, probably. I learned a heck of a lot over a short period of time. It's a shame that I couldn't spend more time on that estate. But I did learn a heck of a lot about land management. So yeah, I don't really have any heroes in the industry. Nobody that's you don't want to give anybody a big head that you might still know. That's probably that's the problem. No, I generally there's lots of people that could that have given me guidance over the years, and I mean some of the guys who I deal with night vision and stuff like that. If I come across a problem that I don't know anything about, I go to them, and likewise they come to me. And genuinely, I genuinely have it's that kind of communication. That's what I like. I've learned quite a lot off of um, like people that have been novices in stalking. When I've taken out stalking, they've done something, and I thought, well, I never thought about doing it that way before. And I'm more experienced than them, so it genuinely, as regards to heroes and people I learn from, I genuinely try and learn every single day. Um, what is the best night vision on the market at the moment? Whatever you can afford. I'm going to be honest with that one. The best night vision on the market is what you can afford. Th- you can spend anything from £300 for a night vision scope all the way right up to £10,000 for a thermal top of the range night vision, and they will do the exact same job. I prefer night vision, as many people have heard. I prefer night vision on my rifle and use a thermal spotter. But you use what you can afford because you get used to what you can use and what you can afford. So the but like micro, for instance, I've got great products come out. DNT Optics have got some great products that are out. Um, Pulsar's still kind of up there, but they're kind of losing their way a little bit. Infari, Infrared, they are, or Iray, whatever you want to call them, they are fantastic as well. There's many night vision optic companies out there who are producing some fantastic stuff. Um, what's on my wish list? Um, Stability. I want, I would love to have a bit of stability. But if you're meaning equipment, I've got quite a lot. I have got a massive list on my equipment wish list. At the moment, I think there's a lot of politics going on in the deer industry. So my main wish list is that we sort all that out, and there is a position for me within that industry. Um, but in regards to equipment, oh, Well, I want to get a Garmin Zero. That's on my Christmas list this year. Um, Garmin Zero. I'm looking forward to try and getting a hold of one of them. Um, at the moment, I need a new tripod, so that's on my wish list at the moment. I'm just looking at options, and I am I've got approval for a 6.5 PRC. So I am needing to get a 6.5 PRC because my 270 is on its last legs and I need to get the barrel replaced on that. So I need a replacement rifle for that. So I've asked for a 6.5 and I want the PRC. And I'm looking at the Begara HMR or Tika UPR. So that's my wish list. Back to these ones. What do you prefer, thermal or night vision? As I said, thermal for spotting, night vision for shooting. Clarity is better. You get no thermal bleed. You can see the cover. You've got if you've got problems in the with trees and branches and grass and stuff like that, it can be a bit difficult. How do you feel about lady stalkers? I don't know the context of that question. And I'm hoping to get a lady stalker on my podcast this week. I'm arranging with one or two of the deer stalking group to see if they want to come on and talk about their experiences in the industry. I think lady stalkers are fantastic. Many of them I have, many ladies that I've taken out who have been novices have always listened, always been very accurate and safe with the rifle. In fact, there's less bravado, and do you know what? I'm not the only person that said this. Lots of guides have said that they prefer to take ladies out than what they do prefer taking guys out. Callum Fraser, what do you think the future holds for traditional stalking estates? Um, I think it's going to be difficult. I think in Scotland anyway, I I genuinely think there's going to have to be a balance made. There is a as you probably see, there's lots of things, incentives for culling deer. The problem with traditional stalking estates is that they still want to have large deer numbers, so their way of managing their herd, which is which is fine, which is in fact that's what they want to do. That's their business model. It's like any other business. They manage it to their business model. Where the problem lies with their business model is it doesn't suit the environmental impacts that deer cause for the Scottish government. And I fear that more and more of these estates will turn to ecotourism to have money. Um, they will turn to various other revenue streams to get money, and that will probably cause a lot of friction when it comes to the gamekeeping side of things. I think I'm already seeing changes in the grouse industry where a lot of that is being walked up uh, instead of having drives, they're having walk up sessions or rough shooting days and stuff like that. So more and more estates are moving away from having large drives and large shoots to walked up days and rough shooting days. I'm going to see that there's got to be a large decline in regards to deer numbers on the stalking estates, and that could be, I think that's going to be a bit of a problem. So hopefully, the future is that it's still going to be there. I hope, but I've got a fear that they're going to move towards more commercial revenue from accommodation, ecotourism, guided walks, quad biking tours, you name it, that sort of thing. I think fishing will take a will have a boost. I think there'll be a return back to old hill lochs and stuff like that being used for fishing. As in recreational deer stalking, I think it's going to be very limited in the future. And I think the way things are going, near enough every deer stalker, whether you're running the state or whether you're working forestry, will be, I guess, contractors. So it's going to be a change. But I could be wrong. I genuinely hope I am wrong, but I could be wrong. Um, I actually had that question from somebody else, Callum. So yeah, yeah, that's what I feel is I think there's gonna be a big change, a big change. But we'll adapt. Everybody will adapt. Yeah. I need to straighten this hat. I've got a squint head, so keeping the hat. Anyway, back to the questions. Who's your ideal guest? Someone that can shoot straight. So I don't care who the guest is. And if you can't shoot straight, I want you to tell me that you can't shoot straight. Then I can help you to shoot straight, or I could get you closer to the deer, or whatever. My ideal guest is someone who can shoot straight, um, or some honesty. Actually, what I look for from a guest is honesty. I don't. I would rather a guest turning up to me and say, "Never shot a deer in my life, never shot a rifle in my life." Then I know where I've got a baseline to start from. What I don't like, and I get this quite a lot, is you have people that go, and they're usually squaddies, unfortunately, and get, speaking to like I have lots of buddies who are ex squaddies. Uh, it was the circles I was around for a long time, and I do get a few ex squaddies that come on board. I know that they've never shot before. In regards to deer, it's a completely different feeling than shooting a rifle over a deer than what it is doing it in the military, and many of them take their military experience and they think that's how they do it. And when you put them up towards a deer, I've had a lot of misses, a lot of wins, and stuff like that. So I'm always wary when a guy says he has been in the military and he's shot with them, but he's never shot deer. Then I will start from the basic. I'll just treat them as a complete novice in regards to shooting as well. So, but every time you get a guest, unless they've been with you before, you don't know what you're going to get. So honesty from the guest is what the most important thing is. Um, I'm just looking. So what else? What camera do I use? Well, I'm using my laptop webcam just now, but for my podcast, I use a Sony. I think it's an EV10 or something or whatever. Yeah, I use a Sony. That's from a podcast. Did used to use a Panasonic Lumix, but the quality was very bad. And I am still working on my podcast stuff. I don't dedicate enough time to it. I do. I am trying to get somebody who can wants to come along and video my hunts and stuff like that because I really struggle to video. Even when I'm shooting rabbits and stuff like that, I forget to press record all the time. And I get the job done first before I do anything else. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just gonna. It's absolutely Baltic this morning when I came in. So I put the heater on. And now it's roasted. Um, what do I do to protect myself from the midges in the Highlands? Well, for those who missed it earlier, this is in my essential kit. This is a midgie jacket. They're around about 20 quid from Amazon. This is a full midgie jacket. Many of you have seen my camouflage face mask and that on some of my videos. But genuinely have this under my jacket all the time. I only have a few issues with this. They're very warm, sweat buckets in them. So I I deliberately rip certain bits so I can get bigger free flowing air because the air gets trapped in the little midgie nets. When it gets to last light, you struggle. I don't genuinely wear my glasses when I'm stalking anymore. Um, I usually wear contacts, but when it gets later on in the evening, it is still hard to see through the mesh. But when the midges are real bad, this is a lifesaver. So that is main kit if you're ever coming elbow or anything in the Highlands in the summertime, midgie jacket. That's how I deal with the midges. I do not use sprays. I'm really struggling with this hat. I'm going to get rid of it in a minute. Um, I really don't. I don't use sprays. don't use things like jungle spray or anything like that. I tend to feel that the midges stick to you. I don't smoke, so I don't have that luxury where people sit there and smoke cigarettes and that gets rid of the midges a little bit. I don't smoke, so yeah. I see you do a lot of gym stuff. How do you keep fit? What's your routine? I go to the gym twice a week. I don't do a lot of heavy weights. Most of it's cardio. And but at this time of year, I do a lot of walking and stuff like that, obviously with the stalking. And in the wintertime, I do a lot of dragging. I should do a lot more. I'm not as fit as what I probably was 10, 15 years ago. I'm fitter than what a lot of people are at 45, but yeah, I am starting to feel it now. Recovery time is very poor. Um, what else? Just I've got a heap of questions here from people who dropped questions in, because this is obviously being recorded. Quite a lot of the if anybody's got any questions about deer syndicates and stuff like that, I can run through all that again while you're on this session, so you don't have to come back and look over the video and whatever. Um, I got an email this morning. Obviously, I've actually been asked about this article that was posted in the New York Times about wild boar in Loch Ness. Um, I can't really comment on it. I don't want to comment on it because I've got a question there about it. Um, I have a feeling about wild boar in regards to much of it. The official stance for Nature Scott is they're an invasive species and they're not wild boar. They are feral pigs, um, and they must be dealt with by the land manager. Now, my feeling on it, personal feeling, it's not anybody else's feeling. It's not the people I do work for or anything like that's feeling. This is basically my own personal feeling in regards to it. If it is part of your management plan on that land, then you deal with it as you see fit. And that's how Nature Scott kind of look at it. Now, if you feel that you've got feral pigs on your land and it is not causing you a problem, then by all means, just don't deal with it. If if you have got feral pigs on your land, then it is up to you to deal with it. Now, I am not a person that will complain about what the neighbors are doing. I don't really care what my neighbors are doing. Now, because basically I've got no control over it. So if I've got a neighboring estate that has 10,000 deer and I'm working on try to get the numbers down on another on my property, then I might mention it, but if they don't want to reduce their numbers of deer, I'm not going to force them. It just means that my effort has to be a lot harder than before. So it's same with the wild boar, feral pigs, whatever you want to call them. I genuinely, um, I don't have a feeling over them. I don't have. I understand where the government's position is. I understand people's ups and downs over the wild boar and feral pigs. But every manager, I am a great believer that every manager who has their own management plan does it to their own management plan, whether I like it or lump it. Simple as that. So that is the only comment I'm going to make on that, because then that's my own personal opinion. It's nobody else's. So if anybody else out there who I'm affiliated with thinks that I am speaking for them, I am not speaking for anybody else but myself. Your land, your issue to deal with. Simple as that. Um, Why do you use night licenses? That's actually quite a straightforward question. It's so on the properties I do deer management on, they are mainly for woodland protection, peatland protection, basically habitat protection, and reducing the numbers. Better you get the better quality deer, more healthier deer when you're dealing with properties that are around 1,200 acres and below. If you have a woodland block that has 50 deer, that woodland block's not going to be sustainable. I'd say 50 deer, you've got a woodland block of 300, 400 acres. Um, that woodland block's not going to be sustainable in the future, and the deer are going to be very detrimental to the habitat. but it also is detrimental to their feeding. So they're not going to be able to like be healthy and eat properly and produce their young the way they should be, because the fact is the deer density is too high. Deer tend to, because there's no other apex predators out there, deer tend to well put an awful lot of stress on an awful lot of stress on themselves. So whether that's feeding or whether that's overcrowding or whether that is just finding shelter, they will struggle, and they will struggle with dehydration during tougher parts of the winter time. If there's lots of heavy snow out there, they'll suffer from dehydration, um, and especially and then if the if there is a limited supply of water for them over those key periods, they will die anyway. But most of the properties I work on are trying to do like peatland restoration, and they've got new plantations, especially native broadleaf and things like that. So the deer numbers and the deer density has to be low. And those properties don't make any money from the deer. They only make money from the commodities that they're trying to grow, whether that's forestry or whether that's rewilding or various other things. So that's why I use night licenses and out of season licenses as a tool. I don't fully always agree with them. Again, it's not a personal opinion. It's I use them as a tool because the tool makes it easier for to deal with species such as Sika. And Sika are very difficult to deal with, as many people who have got a problem with Sika or who have an abundance of Sika will find that the numbers just increase and increase and increase and keep on increasing, and they become unmanageable. So the use of night licenses is a key essential tool. And that's all it is a tool. There's many other tools in the toolbox, and that's just one of them. Um, how do I get my firearm certificate? Well, first of all, you apply. How do you get that's a common question anyway for people who watch us guys that are on social media and stuff like that, going out deer stalking and things, and they go, so I'm going to give you the basic advice that I give anybody who's applying for the firearms certificate. And a number of people who are on my syndicates had never had a firearms certificate when they first met me. They weren't on a syndicate. They did their first stock with me, and I helped them through the process. And now they are full syndicate members, have been syndicate members for over the years, and I help them out as much as I can with equipment and all sorts of stuff and advice throughout their time as syndicate members. The best advice I give you is, first of all, why do you want a firearms certificate? If it is for deer stalking, first of all, look into deer stalking. Look into what is available in your area. Look into clubs or groups or syndicates and all the um yeah, I just got another I'll answer that in a second. Um Look into the look into what is available in your area, whether it's land or farms or forestry or whatever. Look at syndicates and stuff. Go if it's for deer stalking. Go out for a stalk with a guide, a qualified stalker. Get involved in the community. Make sure it's for you. Then, when you come to apply for your firearms certificate, you have to look at your cabinet space. You look at where you stay. You look at if you live in a housing estate, get advice from your local firearms office, because they're essentially the ones that are going to grant or refuse you your firearms certificate. So you take a lot of your guidance from them. Don't take guidance from Facebook. Don't take guidance from me in regards to as a first port of call. Every firearms division has their different rules. And yes, there'll be arguments out there where people will say, yeah, but that's not Home Office guidelines. I don't care. It's all down to your individual chief constable and how they want to run their firearms department, right? Now, so take advice from them on, say, go to them and say, look, I'm thinking about getting my firearms certificate. I went on a few deer stalks. I really fancy doing this more for myself. I've got these opportunities. and be honest with them and say to them, if you've got no criminal records, that any convictions that haven't sentenced you over 5 years, you shouldn't have a problem. Location at the moment might be an issue because obviously all the civil unrest in England. I don't know the rules over these constabularies, but I do deal with many of the English constabularies as well through my syndicates. They might ask you to join a club. Now, I usually say don't join a club to get your firearm certificate because they have their own protocols in that. And unfortunately, what will happen is the firearms division will close your license to that club until that club feels that you're fit to do that. Now, to have one on your own. Now, my problem with clubs are that as many of them are out there just to keep their members, to keep the payment. You have to pay them every month. That keeps their club going. Now, if you want a firearm to go deer stalking, you're not going to get that experience of deer stalking and being out in the woods or being out in the hill and stuff like that at a club, and that becomes a bit of an issue. So don't mention you're a member of a club. I am not saying don't become a member of a club. I am saying don't use a club to get your firearm certificate because it's a long delayed process and they have their own protocols in place. Then look at your rifles, whatever you're stalking, whatever animal you want to shoot. So if it is deer, look at something from a 243 upwards. Whatever you feel comfortable. Anything above 243 will take most deer in the UK, with the right bullet. So I would suggest get a 6 millimeter Creedmoor, nice recoil or something like that, or a 6 millimeter Dasher, or even a 243. 6.5 is a very that'll cover every boundaries. So you've got many 6.5 variants. I would personally stay away from the 6.5 by 55, but that's each to their own. 270 is a guarantee if the 270 will shoot everything there is in the British Isles. So if you're only wanting one rifle, go for a 6.5 or a 270 or a 308. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the 308, but a lot of guys out there, many thousands of deer have been shot with 308s. Uh, and so a 308, that's your kind of mid range. Don't go ask for something stupid. Don't go ask for a 338 Lapua or a 300 PRC or a Win Mag or something like that. As your first starting off rifle, you want something low with low recoil, powerful enough to take most deer in the UK, so you have no problems with restrictions, cross borders, or anything like that. And